Hi everyone, welcome to my latest vlog. So I think the last time I talked to you guys I had a bit of a mixed trip down to Charleston and Columbia. Last few weeks I haven't really gone anywhere. I've just sat at home and gone out and about in Washington. But there's been heaps on, so I thought I'd tell you about some of the stuff that I've been to see. So one thing that Washington did, well the Library of Congress did, was have this massive book festival, and it was held at the convention center, and they had heaps and heaps of authors giving talks from kids books, young adults, adult authors, all the kind of things. And so each talk was about 45 minutes an hour, but they must have had about, I don't know, about 15 different rooms, and all day there were different authors. And then the authors were also doing some book signings as well. So I thought I'd get along. It was all free and it was absolutely fantastic. I'm in a book club here within the apartment block that I'm living in, and one of the books we just read, the author was giving a talk. So I thought I'll head down and see that. She was on about 9:30. Saw a couple of others, and it was really interesting. But then they had also other stuff. So there was heaps of different areas of the Library of Congress, because they've got their genealogy area. What else have they got? Their digitisation, book restoration. Look, I'm an information manager. It was an absolute nerd fest for me. All the different kinds of things that Library of Congress does with all the records and books that are in their possession. So that was really interesting. But then what they also had was each state had their own booth to be able to talk about the authors in their region and some of the book things that they do in libraries and stuff like that. So that was really interesting. And they also had not just the 50 states, but then some of the other, I don't know what they're called, other areas like Puerto Rico and Guam. And then, there was the Marshall Islands. So are they dependencies, territories? Anyway, every one of them had a booth, and they had giveaways. And look at, if you don't know by now, I'm a bit of a sucker for giveaway tact. And so I was in my element. And whilst there was a lot of bookmarks, they had some really interesting things in that they had maps. So, and I don't know, it sort of sounded like it was a bit of a travel show, because a lot of them had these maps, and it's like full-on proper maps, which, I'm old school. I know that there's GPS and stuff like that, but quite frankly, if there's a chance to have a look at a map, I'm going to take that. So I got a few of those, and that was really good. So yeah, if you come over, I know how to get us to South Dakota. I'm not folding that up now. But then there was also things like books like this. And so it's got all the different kinds of stuff in Wisconsin, anyone? And so, yeah, I was laden down with a whole pile of stuff that I haven't finished going through yet. But it was so good. I was so amazed that they would just put this thing on free, all these giveaways, all the states representative. And there was also things like STEM. They were trying to get kids involved in STEM, and there was a lot of stuff for kids to do, which I avoided because they're kids. But then they also had gift shops and stuff like that. So it was good. My favourite stall though was Louisiana's, because they gave me this. And it's a guide to last year's Mardi Gras. Now, this year's Mardi Gras, 2024's Mardi Gras, because in 2025 I will be going to Mardi Gras. And all I knew is that there's a parade and they chuck stuff at you. Beads. Oh, they also gave me beads. This is the kind of beads I'm going to get anyway. But I didn't understand the history of it, and it's all in here. And so that's given me a really good understanding of what to expect next year when I go to Mardi Gras. And I'm super excited about that. So that was the book fair. What else have I got here? There was a big lineup for food. I probably made the mistake of thinking that, come 12 o'clock, 12:30, oh, it'll be easy enough just to get something to eat. No. And I'm realizing that with really large sort of gatherings like that, there's always going to be lineups. I mean, I don't think that's any different anywhere in the world, really. People get hungry around lunchtime and want food. So I was just really happy that the Library of Congress did something like that. What a great idea. So I'd spotted a magazine that had Washington fairs and festivals, and it was a big thick book about all the different things that are on basically August and September, I think, as we sort of start to die down from summer and start to get into fall, or autumn as I call it. And it had heaps in there, all different kinds of things. So there was, you know, music festivals, food festivals. There's a coffee festival apparently. Someone, I think, is going to go there because they can't find a decent coffee here in Washington, so they're hoping that the coffee fest will have it. There's a beer fest, whiskey fest, but there's the state fairs, and I'm definitely going to a state fair because that's something I've wanted to do for a while. But there was also a Renaissance fair, and there was a few of us at work that thought that this sounded like a good idea, and a few of the locals had said, get in quick because it does sell out. And it's just this massive Renaissance fair, and you turn up and you eat and drink and be merry, which sounded like a good idea. It's just outside Annapolis, which is about a 45-minute drive from Washington. Really hard to get to on public transport, so we thought, let's hire a car and off we go. Now, I asked very nicely whether I could have a bit of a drive. I wanted to be able to drive while I'm here because I know that there's so many things that are off the beaten track that aren't just, you know, in a capital city or, you know, easy to get to with public transport. So I want to be able to drive, but I haven't driven yet since I got here. I was trying to get my US license. I still might, but at the moment that was a bit too difficult. But I can drive on an Australian license. I just need to drive on the wrong side of the road. So the lovely people that I was going with, they generously said, yes, Lynn can drive. And I did think this could be a 30-second drive where I just freak out and pull over and let the real drivers take over. Or, you know, it's just going to be a nice little lead-in. And so off we went. We went down to the airport to pick it up, because the idea is that you try and pick it up near a freeway, highway, roadway, anyway, and then so you don't have to go through the city, because Washington's apparently a nightmare to drive around, and I've got no reason to doubt people when they say that. I've seen a bit of the traffic, it's a bit So anyway, we headed down to the airport, picked up our car. It was this massive, is it a Wagoneer? I want to say a Wagoneer. It looked like a goddamn tank. It was a 7-seater because there was a few of us going down. I get in. I managed to get in on the right side. I didn't actually try to get in on the... So I got in on the left-hand side of the car rather than the right-hand side. But I then just went like that to get the seatbelt. I went, okay, that's just air there. So off we went. I was quite surprised at how easy it is. I mean, it's driving. It's the same thing. It's just on the wrong side of the road. And because their freeways are so huge, though, you sort of don't know that there's, you know, you can hardly actually see the other side of them going the wrong way. So for me, it was pretty good. I was maybe getting a bit close to the side, and I had a driver next to me who has been driving around the United States. That's just to make me feel a little bit better. But he would navigate me and make sure that I was in the right lane for when we had to turn off. The GPS person was helpful, and yeah, I found it to be really easy. I thought I would panic a little bit more, but I was that happy with it that I drove back again, and we ended up dropping a couple of people off home rather than just all going straight back to the airport, and then everyone just public transport home. So I actually drove a little bit in the suburbs. So yeah, I was really pleased with that. So that's made me feel very good, because the next trip was going to be up to Boston, and I know that it would be much easier to have a car because I'd be going outside of Boston. But driving by myself, I just at least wanted to have a drive before I drove by myself. So drove with someone, felt better. So anyway, but I'll tell you about that next time. So we headed to Annapolis, just outside Annapolis, to go to the Renaissance Fair. This thing is huge. It's absolutely huge. It runs every weekend for about 2 months. And like I said, regularly sells out. They have, it looks like it's permanent. I think there's a lot of buildings there that are permanent, and they look very medievally. So I'd say this fair's, I don't know what they do with the grounds when it's not Renaissance Fair, who knows? But it all looked very permanent. We got there just before 10, just before it opened, and there was just heaps of people, and there was a lovely proclamation of, yes, the fair's now open, and all the rest of it. And it was really, really good. Heaps and heaps of things to do and things to eat. And I just, oh look, I was amazed and impressed at how much they got the chronology right. Not the chronology, well, their time, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but basically they were dressed like they were from Henry VIII's time. And apparently that is a rule, that if they're going to be vendors there or perform there or anything like that, they have to be dressed correctly. I mean, there was a lot of people that visited that weren't. There was a few that were sort of in Victorian era type stuff, and I'm like, okay. But then I worked out they didn't work here. They just had, you know, they just had decided to dress up in something that looked ye olde Englandy, and that would do. Lots of the fairies and things like that. Not as many as I thought. I know that I've been to a few medieval fairs back in Adelaide, and I do remember that one year they had a Michael Jackson tribute act. So they weren't particularly that worried about being correct time-wise. Yeah, I don't even know how they justified having a Michael Jackson tribute act at a medieval fair, but they had one anyway. This one, no Michael Jackson tribute act anywhere, and they had heaps of stages. There must have been about 5 or 6 different stages doing different kinds of things. Food, there was cheesecake on a stick. I'm just going to stop there and say cheesecake on a stick. I got really excited. I don't know what to expect with cheesecake on a stick. And so I think we were not there 10 minutes. I saw cheesecake on a stick, and that was it. I had to have cheesecake on a stick. And it was a bit anticlimactic when I got there and went, I'll have one cheesecake on a stick, please. Because it was like an ice cream wrapped in a wrapper, like it looked like a Magnum. What it was though, when you opened it, they just got a piece of cheesecake, and then they dipped it in chocolate to sort of keep it together, and then rammed a stick in it. And I did learn later that I was supposed to maybe let it thaw a bit, but I was hungry and it was cheesecake on a stick, so I just hoed into it. That wasn't the only thing on a stick you could get. You could get potato on a stick. There was chops on a stick, like pork chops on a stick, sausage on a stick. Oh, there must have been other things. It was, you know, there was turkey legs. Everyone was wandering around with just hanging off a turkey leg. Very Henry VIII. I liked it. So of course it's not a medieval fair or a Renaissance fair without some jousting. So we headed down to the jousting ring. I of course had to say, jousting sticks, what do they want with jousting sticks? But I had to say it to the only other Australian that was with me, so that we could have a little bit of a laugh, because otherwise I just looked like an idiot. So it wasn't a super huge arena. They had 4 nights, and depending on where you sat, that was your night. So we had Sir Keegan, who had come over from Ireland, and he would try and rev up the crowd, and we'd all, you know, say Keegan, 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 and shout for him. And you know, I do like to get a little bit involved in the sports and shout for my team. So I was happy to do that.
So Keegan it is.
And they were really, really good. So they were on their horses, and they started off with, I think they were hoiking rings. The guy that was chucking the rings up was pretty, he was a bit mediocre. I felt really bad for the guys on horseback, because a lot of times they were able to get it. They had the big stick and they would get it. But this guy was just, he would just throw it near the ground. It's like, he was, yeah, I would have just jabbed him with the joust anyway, just to get him out of the way so someone else could come along. Then I think they did some trick riding. That was really good. I hope I got footage of that, because that was amazing. I don't think I took footage, because I think I was just in awe at, they could just flip over on a saddle and then suddenly they're sideways doing all kinds of things. It was amazing. They had races and stuff like that. And then I think Sir Keegan won a couple of events. One because some other knight then punched another knight. I don't know. They had the king and queen up there making proclamations, and they had trumpeters there, and oh look, it was a good laugh, and we're all having a good cheer of our night. And then afterwards, they once they'd finished, so I think it must have been about 20 minutes to half an hour. The knights had come out with their horses to the areas that they were were their people type thing. And so yeah, you'd have a chat to Sir Keegan, who surprisingly didn't have an Irish accent, even though he'd had an Irish accent throughout the jousting tournament, and then he didn't. But we got to pat the horse, and so that was good. So that was our medieval, I keep calling it the medieval fair. It was a Renaissance fair. And it was fantastic. It was huge. I think I'd definitely go again next year. There was heaps of things to buy, so many things to buy, but really, really expensive. I know normally you go to a fair or a show or something like that and you just go, oh yeah, they're going to bump up the prices. But these seem to be astronomically bumped up prices. A lot of it was wood, so I could use the excuse, well, I can't take that back to Australia, so I can't buy that. But there was some really nice glass blown stuff that I would have liked. Would have liked one of them for like a tree ornament for my Christmas tree, but it wasn't to be, because I refused to pay that much. But that was the Renaissance fair. We got home again. Like I said, I drove home. What a great day. I was just so happy that we did it, and we all had good time. I got a henna tattoo. I've never had a henna tattoo before. Is it still there? No, it's gone now. Anyway, I can always get another one. So that was the Renaissance fair just outside Annapolis. So life's going pretty well. I'm getting really excited that it's starting to get a bit cooler, which means that we're now into fall. Now, we know overseas that Halloween's a big deal over in the US, and I am excited about that. What I didn't realise is that they just go so over the top for fall leaves, for anything to do with fall. Pumpkins are a big thing, and everything starts to taste like pumpkin. There's pumpkin spice everywhere. They put it in their cakes, they have it in their ice cream flavours, They have it in their beer, and it is just, even their room fresheners. So you know you've got those plug-in air fresheners. They've got pumpkin spice air fresheners, and it is just phenomenal. As you can see, I've got a pumpkin that's ready for Halloween. I know it's just going to get more. I like pumpkin soup, but I don't know if I need to go all out pumpkin. But I do like autumn, and I am so loving the idea that all the leaves around me, all the trees are just going to turn. Because in Australia, we've got green trees. They stay green all year round. And we have to drive places if we want to go and see any of them. Up to the Botanic Gardens in Mount Lofty. I'm also happy that I got a bit of autumn before I left. So I'm getting 2 autumns in 1 year. So that also makes me very happy. So yeah, I'm going to start to get out and about and try and really take advantage of the autumn leaves that are going to be just everywhere. And I know that come next year I might try and get up to New England, but I'm just going to try and maybe just stay close around Washington area, maybe take a few drives out and about to some really nice places, and hopefully get you some beautiful, beautiful shots of the fantastic colours that we're going to see. Next time I'm off to Boston, and can't wait to tell you all about that. See you later.